Do you feel that you have the gift of prophecy or interpretation, whether that is dreams or what's going on in other people's lives? I'm going to share something that I found inside of my clients' Akashic records in case it supports you on your journey, because this is also going to be timeline healing for soul fragments within our energetic field. And hello, if it is your first time meeting me, my name is Sage, your sparkly fairy guide. If you would like your own reading, you can find those in my bio or in the comments. When I went into her energy field, I saw this giant dream catcher behind her. Massive. And I said, Mama, there is a dream catcher behind you. And she said, oh, this is my gateway. And I said, gateway to where? Grabbed her hand and said, let's go see. But she got really nervous and scared. I said, well, I'm here with you. Does that help? And she said, I don't know. I don't want something to happen to you either. And I was like, well, that's very sweet and endearing. Said, nothing's gonna get past me. And I held this sword up like I was Joan of Arc and, hit a pose. She said, well, okay. And we walked into the dream catcher together, and we were in this really dark hallway with these flickering lights. And this voice came overhead and said, choose your path. And there was two of them that went like this. And I said, that was very ominous. She said, see, this is why I didn't want to come in here. I said, okay, that's understandable. I think you need to lighten up. And I flipped this switch that was in there, and all of a sudden it was really bright and sunny, and we were in this green pasture, and there was rainbows and butterflies everywhere, and the song was playing, rainbows and lollipops. And I just looked it up. It's called Sunshine, Rainbows, Lollipops by Leslie Gore. You can go watch that on YouTube. It's very cute. Her energy body looked at me and said, why was it so creepy in here? And I said, I think that's your perception of diving deeper into your psyche or your subconscious. So then I said, let's go back outside and see what's going on with the dream weaver apparatus, the dream catcher. And so we went back out there. I said, let's go somewhere more fun, because we were kind of in this dark void space. I took us to the beach, and she said, it's too bright and sunny. Okay, how about the mountainside where it was very cool and airy? So while we were in this mountainscape, I started looking at the schematics of it. And I said, hey, if there are any guides that are overseers of this system, can you come forward so I can talk to you about what's going on? And this elk humanoid being walked out of it and came over to us, and he grabbed her hands and put them in a prayer position, and then wrapped his arms around her and hugged her, and then they disappeared. And I was like, hello. And you know how there's the veil that you can see through? He stuck his arm through it and grabbed my shirt and pulled me in there with them. Oh, and the reason that we couldn't be at the beach is because she was energetically reading that the elk being was not going to enjoy being there. The mountain was more his vibe. When I got on the other side of the veil, which was deeper in her Akashic records, I saw this older woman that was kind of crouched in the corner, and she had this hood over her head and cape on her back and was kind of shrouded. And I walked over and I said, hey, and introduced myself. And she kept on saying I couldn't save them, just over and over again. I couldn't save them. Now, I'm going to give a discernment check here, okay, about listening to this, because it has to do with the military and some not so great things that happened, not in this incarnation, but a different one. But I want to say that just in case. Okay, we need to be in a good mental place to listen to this. I went over and touched her back. I could see an image that she was replaying in her mind. I said, oh, you are a prophesizer. You can tell when things are going to happen in the future. What had happened in this woman's timeline, the different incarnation of my client, is she was working with military advisors, and they were going into war, and she was trying to warn them, hey, if you go into this battle, no one is going to make it out. None of the soldiers or any of the commanders. And apparently she was really revered for her gifts, because she was contracted by the military, and they had listened to her numerous times before and it had worked out. But for this situation, they're like, oh, too bad. We have to go through with it. Of course, what ended up happening was none of them survived. And this is the trauma loop that she has been stuck in. Before we get into this further, I normally talk to people in a very empathetic and compassionate, nurturing manner, but this woman likes just matter of fact, tell me like it is. And I read that about her, so that's why I'm speaking in these tones that I am. Okay, I'm gonna read from my notes here. I said, what more could you have done other than tell them what was going to happen? I said, others' actions are not your responsibility. People make their own choices. And she said, well, what if I had been able to speak to the soldiers individually instead of just the commanders? And I said, do you think that they would have listened either? She said, maybe. And I said, okay. Do you think that they would have abandoned their post as this collective? And she said, probably not. I said, that is what happens when people blindly follow others. It's called a hive mind. And we're going to talk about how that is reminiscent in spirituality as well. It can be in religion. It can be anywhere. Okay, not just the military. I said, I want to show you something. And I brought her into our timeline currently, this incarnation. And I was showing her all of the different Lightworkers that were also prophesizers and interpreters, and was showing her the work that we are currently doing. They said, the Lightworkers now, who are prophesizers, are teaching sovereignty. Instead of us telling people their path, we are equipping them with the tools to create their own and teaching them not to rely on us. We are simply here to guide the new generation. Everyone is responsible for themselves, including you and what you choose to do with this pain that you have been holding on to. Talking to her, I said, you can either suffer in it or you can commit to a different cause. I said, my client in this incarnation needs a mentor to help her with her prophesizing and interpretation skills. I said, you are more than welcome to join her spirit team and teaching people how to be sovereign and not just getting into this hive mind and blindly following others, and help teach her how to integrate these tools as well, because prophesizers can also be the same type of military commanders that she was experiencing of, oh, you just do what I say. No, we're not doing that anymore. I said, you're also welcome to walk your own path if you decide to step out of this trauma loop that you have been in. She said, I do want to help my sister. Talking about my client. I said, that's so amazing. You are going to be a part of the new age movement. And this is where you're going to heal that trauma wound on an even deeper level, because you are changing what you are supporting and helping others with, so they can stand in their own strength and confidence and make their own decisions. This is when we went back to look at the dream catcher apparatus, and it has all those cone-secting lines within it. I was looking at the one that was not working correctly, and it mended itself by helping this other incarnation. The reason that we needed to do that is because my client was not having full access to her capabilities because of this soul fragment and the needed healing in her records. I would love to hear in the comments if this message resonated with you, what your biggest takeaway is, if you feel this way as well. This shift, collective shift of don't just listen to me. We need to get you to a place where you are completely sovereign and able to make your own decisions and choices. I will help guide you, but it is ultimately up to you what path that you choose. Remember to give a follow to join our community, and I'm wishing you a very magical day.